Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, entitled Old Hag at Oppenheimer. I should have sacrificed myself for her. Update, I should have sacrificed myself for her. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled Old Hag at Oppenheimer. As Karen's stories go, this isn't exactly a barn burner, but here goes. Since tickets for Oppenheimer were incredibly hard to get in my area for some reason, I ended up having to see this movie by myself at 9:30 p.m. on Saturday night. Not incredibly convenient for me, but I really wanted to see it, and at least at that hour there won't be too many kids. So I show up, grab some Skittles and a soda and go sit down. A few minutes into the previews, Karen shows up, walks to what is apparently her seat, decides she doesn't like that one, and walks back to my aisle and starts ching at the person sitting about 3 seats to my left that she should have that seat. This is one of those theaters with the snazzy reclining seats and enough room that people don't have to stand up to let you through. The person to my right starts filming her, and I sit up to watch. She's on a tear about how this guy needs to give her the premium seat that he reserved in advance. He needs to respect his elders. He needs to show respect to women. He needs to stop using cancel culture on her just because she's white. It should be noted that he was too. He needs to stop being a lazy, entitled millennial. The reason she gave that this guy needs to give up his seat? She had to go through atom bomb drills in elementary school, so she deserves to have a good view for this movie. I grab my phone and call the theater. The person on the other end of the line can hear her, says, "Let me guess, theater 4? Security will be there in a second, you're our 5th call." They show up, escort her out of the theater, and the rest of us watch the movie in peace. Now that's a funny story. And at least at that hour there won't be too many kids. This made me laugh. I went to an 8 p.m. showing of Barbie, which didn't begin till 8:35, and I can't tell you how many parents thought it was okay to bring 4 5-year-olds to a page 13 film. The one in my row was bored after 20 minutes and super disruptive, so yeah, the later the better. Karenheimer should have seen Barbie instead. Pretty sure she would have been kicked out of that one too. This woman's entitlement is dense enough that if it collapsed it could form a black hole. OMG, please no, she would have ruined that one too. I thought the older generation stuck to get what you get and don't complain. Maybe she forgot that. OP went to see Oppenheimer but dropped the bomb on her. Did everyone clap when she got escorted out? This guy has a ton of these that somehow happen when only he is around. And Redditors just eat them up. Seriously, go look at his other tales. It's like I'm gonna keep trying different excuses until I find one that works. You know, in all my years on this planet, it has never once occurred to me to call the theater to complain about someone being an asshole. I didn't know it was an option. I wouldn't bother. I'm surprised OP found a real person to talk to, because most theaters these days have an automated answering service. Especially your big Cinemark and Regal theaters. Of course it may not be true, but that's not for me to decide. That's just my experience. Yeah, that part sounds absolutely bizarre to me. Makes more sense that someone would have just walked down the hall where there are multiple employees. I should have sacrificed myself for her. So, I'm not entirely sure if this qualifies as an entitled parent or just someone who's mentally insane, but this just happened a few hours ago, so here goes. I, 29M, work for a small hardware store in my city. I'm about 6 feet 2 inches, chubby, but still muscular from all the heavy lifting I do for work. Early this morning, me and, we will call her, Nancy, 49F, were at the store before opening to do inventory. It was about an hour before opening and Nancy went outside to grab something from her car. She came back in a few minutes later, at gunpoint, with someone walking behind her. Never been involved in any kind of robbery before, aside from minor shoplifting attempts, so I froze in place. The gunman pointed it at me, telling me to keep my hands visible and to follow them. Nancy was technically the opening manager, and therefore had keys to the store and vault in the back office, so he held me up while she emptied it. He was gone in about 10 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. Our store doesn't have any kind of silent alarm, so once we were sure he was gone, I went and called 911. After I get off the phone, Nancy comes up to me and asks, word for word, "What the F*** is wrong with you?" I stare at her completely caught off guard and asked her what she was talking about. She proceeds to rant at me up until the police arrive. To sum up her rant, she basically said I was a pathetic excuse of a man for not protecting a single mother when she was in danger. I asked her what she expected me to do in that situation. She expected me to try and get the gun away from him so he couldn't hurt her. It was around that point that the police arrived to take our statements and ensure we were okay. My actual boss is on vacation this week but has given me the next 2 days off, paid. I love this guy, to recover from the shock of the situation and to call him if I need anything. I haven't told him about Nancy's rant yet, I'm still trying to process everything she said to me. Edit. Sorry, still new to posting, wasn't sure if this info is relevant or not. Nancy is divorced and her son is a 19-year-old college student who doesn't live with her. During her rant, she kept going on about who would watch my baby if I died, stuff like that. I'm hoping it was just adrenaline from the robbery, but if the next time I see her, she's still acting that way, I'll report her. Edit. 2. I greatly appreciate the comments people have sent. I didn't think I'd get that many replies. There have been some comments claiming Nancy was in on it. She seemed genuinely terrified, so I doubt she was, but now I can't get that thought out of my head. Hopefully Nancy was just freaking out because of the incident. When she has time to process, she'll see what a ridiculous request that was. If not, she has to quit watching superhero movies. There's always women who think men are some kind of muscular one-hit wonder. Had a friend ask me to help her move. Sure, I'll help. We get to the new place, unload boxes, and in the hallway is a washing machine. I didn't want to pay the delivery for bringing it to the attic, since I figured you could just carry it up. Now, I'm not exactly fat or anything. But I wouldn't call myself fit either. And certainly not strong enough to lift a full-size washer, let alone carry it up 2 flights of chairs. Still not sure what she was smoking. Do you know what the definition of a hero is? Someone who gets other people killed. What? No. Pretty much anything you could have done would likely have resulted in a much worse outcome than missing money. You protected her by not doing something rash and stupid. He also probably would have gotten fired if complying with the robber is what the company expects employees to do, and it usually is. My old job had training on that very thing. Definitely, you trying to get the gun off of him could have ended up with both of you getting shot. The safest thing to do is go along with what they say. If she says anything again, say, "You would have liked me to try to get the gun so we both could have been shot?" I guess I was smart enough to know both of our lives are worth more than the amount of money in the store. And your baby isn't that much younger than me. If he were in this situation, would you like him to have tried getting the gun away, or would you have said, "Give the thief the money"? You did exactly what security professionals advise. Hand the money over. Money is not worth losing your life over. Hopefully when she calms down, Nancy apologizes to you for being such an AH and calling you a pathetic excuse for a man. If she doesn't, she's an idiot, and I'd let your boss know ASAP what happened in case she tries to spin it some way. I have had jobs where the robbery response training was "give it to them." Stuff is stuff. No stuff is worth your life. You did exactly right. You did not escalate the situation. You did not startle the robber, which might have made him injure someone in response. You stayed calm. Well done, you. I would ask Nancy what the hell was so important in your car that you had to leave the locked premises, thereby allowing this individual with a gun entry into the store? Obviously, Nancy was in shock, and her go-to coping mechanism is to project blame. You were both in danger. Why didn't she defend herself and protect the 29-year-old employee who has their life ahead of them? I am so sorry this happened to you. All of it. None of it should have happened. Hopefully, Nancy will apologize for lashing out when the adrenaline wears off, if she remembers anything at all. Please be kind to yourself. Update: I should have sacrificed myself for her. Hey everyone, not sure if this is how you do an update, but here goes. I just wanted to start by thanking everyone for the kind words and advice I was given. It was definitely the scariest moment of my life, and I've decided I'm going to look into potential therapy. Before the actual update, I just wanted to explain a few things based on some comments I saw in my original post. 1. The hardware store I work for is small just in the physical sense. It's still technically one of the big-name hardware store in the US, just not warehouse size like the ones with the orange and blue logos. 2. When I said that Nancy had emptied the vault, I wasn't referring to an actual safe/lockbox. The vault in our store refers to a small, double-locked room where they store the money orders the store receives from the big armored trucks. 3. Nancy actually is the HR manager for our store. Because the store manager was out of town for the week, she was the acting store manager along with one other person who was off that day. My actual store manager, Nancy, and the third associate are the only ones with keys to the vault. So, now for the update. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm more angry or scared right now, but I got off the phone with my store manager half an hour ago. He was reviewing the security camera footage that was sent to him from his hotel room. I knew the store had cameras, what I didn't know is that we have cameras that face the parking lot. Some of you mentioned it in the comments, so you may not be surprised to hear that Nancy has been arrested for assisting in robbing the store. I can't go into extreme detail, but, according to my boss, the gunman was seen exiting Nancy's car when she went outside. They spoke for a bit before walking back up to the store. I don't know much else aside from that the guy was her new boyfriend. I am feeling so many different emotions right now: confusion, anger, fear, etc. She traumatized someone 20 years younger than he for a few $1,000s. I don't know if she was chewing me out about this single mother thing because she'd hoped I would have done something to warrant getting shot over. All I know is that this woman, who originally did my hiring interview, is mentally insane. As I said, I think I'm going to look into therapy for this. It's just too much for me to process alone. My boss has offered me additional leave of absence if needed as well. So, for now I'm going to take some time off, and if I get any more info I can share, I'll further update you. Sending strength, and make sure that the store pays for your copays or any medical bills they get reimbursed from their insurances that they have to have. While he's being kind, giving you space, you still don't deserve to pay for treatment, and make sure you get in writing that he is allowing this time off, that way he can't fire you for any reason while out. Yes, this is a workers' compensation issue. And look into victim compensation funds. Nancy at her BF will likely be fined and have to pay in, but regardless of that, OP is also entitled to some of those funds for exactly this type of thing, needing some therapy. This is going to sound rather silly and off topic, but try and play a lot of Tetris. There have been medical studies that have shown that people who suffer a traumatic event and play Tetris suffer from fewer flashback episodes. The puzzle-solving aspect somehow helps the brain rewire away from the trauma response. You really need to talk to your employer about filing a workers' compensation claim for you. Not sure what state you are in, but traumatic psychiatric injuries from a robbery like this have a strong potential of being covered under workers' compensation. It does depend on the state law in effect, but handled plenty in my years. Normally the actions of a coworker would not give grounds to a work comp claim, but she was actually part of a criminal conspiracy here, and that changes the picture considerably. Why wouldn't a coworker's actions give grounds to work comp? That sounds weirdly like you couldn't get work comp if a coworker drove a forklift into you, so I'm very confused. Don't look into therapy for this. Go to therapy for this. This has PTSD written all over it. File for workman's comp for the therapy. I witnessed a murder when I was 18. I didn't do any of that. Fast forward 30 years and I still struggle sometimes. I hope they prosecute her to the full extent of the law. She was fully in her clear, lucid mind when she berated you about not getting murdered to protect her and muddy her and her boyfriend's scheme. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.